There's a good girl. Hi. Can I have a kiss? Good girl. Well, guys, a couple of you wanted to see Roxy for my next video, and here she kind of is. I'm pretty sure she doesn't remember where she is, but she is fucking huge. Yeah, she's gotten really big since the last time you guys saw her on YouTube here, so she has a big bark. Let's see, Roxy. Roxy, speak. Speak. Roxy, speak. Come on, Roxy, you can do it. Okay, she does not want to speak, but you guys saw a little bit of her, but she's beautiful and I love her. She's getting bigger and bigger every day, and she's lovely and she's wonderful and I love her. She's wonderful. So guys, I am back with another Q&A, and I'm very excited to do another one because I had plenty of questions from you guys, and I'm very excited to answer them for you. So, first question is from Riri Phillips. I'm so glad that you asked me a burning question, so wonderful. So, her question is, the audition process. Use 3 words to explain your feelings during the audition process. So, I can't really say I've done very many auditions, however, I do a lot of adjudications and competitions and basically evaluated performances. Sometimes you can move up in the competition, sometimes it's just, oh hey, getting a second pair of ears to listen to you for you and your voice teacher to work on. So, whenever it comes to these evaluated performances, they are terrifying as fuck. Okay? Because I am afraid that they'll judge me for what I'm wearing, which is usually toned down. I'm afraid that they'll judge me for being too expressive, which I don't understand that, but okay. I usually get dinged for my posture, so that's usually what I get dinged on. But they do praise me on my musical expression, not necessarily like physical expression, but musical expression, and they praise me on my tone and how beautiful my voice is, which it's good to hear that, but I still have some technical issues to work on. So there's that. So Rivendell Rambles asks, what is your current day job / dream day job? What did you hope to become when you were a child? So when I was a child, I hoped to become an opera singer. And I was also interested in being an actress. Now, when it comes to my current day job, at the moment, until next week, I am working for an online bank, and it fucking sucks. I'm looking forward to my last week of work, but also the job hunt's not going to be fun. For a dream day job that's reasonable, I would hope for something in the beauty industry, like working at Ulta or working at Sally's Beauty Supply, things like that. So yeah, that in the beauty industry would be fun. Raven Moriarty asks, how do you take your coffee, if you take coffee at all? First of all, I love coffee. I fucking love coffee. Love it. Can't get enough. Just love it. So how I take my coffee, I usually take it black because I prefer French roast. Now, if I'm going to have some kind of flavoring in it, I would prefer to have some kind of coconut milk in there along with the flavoring. Like, for example, if I'm going to do kind of a homemade pumpkin spice thing with my coffee at home, then I'm going to do a splash of coconut milk and a little dash of the pumpkin spice latte syrup. Delicious. And plus I feel a lot better about doing coconut milk because it has a lot less fat. And whatever fat it does have, it's good fat. So there's that. Lori Master asks, what fictional characters do you relate to the most? That's a good one. So not so much a fictional character, but more a figure from history that has been made into a historical fiction novel. Julie d'Aubigny, who was the star of my book review Goddess. She was a real-life opera singer from the 17th century, and she was a fucking badass. Love her, and I aspire to be like her. And I also can identify a lot with Raven from Vampire Kisses because pretty much the only goth in a small town, go figure. And I also relate a lot to Catherine Morland in Northanger Abbey, and eventually I will do a review of Northanger Abbey because I fucking love that book. It's my favorite book by Jane Austen. So I definitely identify with those 3 people. And Lori Master also asks, your videos are so relaxing, I rewatch them all the time. Thank you, it's very sweet. Would you ever make a pamper relaxing routine video? Yes, and that's definitely something I plan on doing once I leave my office, because I will have a lot more time and a lot more energy to devote to my creative outlet, which is making videos for you guys, which I love. And I want to do a haul / review of some of the skin products and hair products that I've gotten from Pacifica, which I have absolutely fallen in love with. They are now my new go-to products for my hair and my skin, keeping everything moisturized and relatively zit-free. For some reason I have a couple of breakouts right here on my cheeks and one right above my lip that occurred last week. No idea how it happened, but it just happened. I've been trying to fight that, but it's getting better. I also have been using a new exfoliating product that I'd like to share with you guys as well, so I'll make that part of my skincare, pamper, self-care routine video. So yes, I definitely will. So Which Soul asks, hello, what and who is your biggest inspiration, music, literature, and art in general? So I would have to say my biggest one for music is Donizetti and Julie Daubigny for being inspirations for me as far as music is concerned. Both of those people really inspire me to do my best and to pursue opera and to fucking kill it, which I'm very happy about. And to also embrace my rebelliousness, so there's that. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing a cameo with Donizetti's image right here because I had a voice lesson today. I kind of, call me superstitious, but I kind of use it as a good luck charm to kind of ensure I have a good lesson. As far as literature is concerned, I'd say Charles Baudelaire and Edgar Allan Poe. And art, I don't really do much for art anymore. Like, I don't draw anymore. I used to draw in high school, but now I don't. But Joseph Vargo, definitely big inspiration as an artist. And Eric Werner, aka Corvus Nocturnum, my producer for Dark Moon Press and Dark Moon Productions. He's fantastic, been friends with him for a very long time. And looking forward to reuniting with him again down in New Orleans, which is probably coming up within the next couple of weeks. So, excited! And Milha Maria 1 asks, hello, what is your favorite classical piece of literature about vampires? I love your book reviews and I wish you a great day. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So my favorite piece of classic literature about vampires would have to be La Mort amoureuse by Théophile Gautier, which translates to the deadly romance or the romantic death, something like that, but the alternate title for that is Clairmonde. So that's definitely a story that I definitely plan on getting into when I discuss Théophile Gautier, because I feel a lot of French writers, including Baudelaire, are kind of underrated, severely underrated as far as Gothic literature is concerned. So I definitely plan on covering him, Théophile Gautier, and I also plan on covering, oh fuck, what's his name? Guy de Maupassant as well, so definitely plan on covering them as well. Okay, so Nick Scargill asks, apologies if this has been covered previously, but how did you discover your two other passions in life, opera and classical music, and wine? And what is your favorite place you have ever visited? Looking forward to the video. Thank you. So, as far as opera and classical music is concerned, when I was a kid, my mom would play a lot of classical music, so that was awesome. Loved it. Although I grew to dislike Mozart a lot, I did later find the bel canto composers and the French impressionistic composers, which I very much love. Very much love. Absolutely. And then as far as wine is concerned, I live in the middle of a wine region. So when I was a kid, I would actually accompany my parents to wine tastings, and I had a blast. I fucking loved it. And I learned so much about wine through there. And another dream day job I'd like to have would be in the wine industry, because I know a lot about wine. I love sharing my knowledge of wine with people. It's great. And Lenora Rose asks, hello Adrian, what do you consider to be Poe's most unappreciated work that you love? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing very well, thank you. So as for most underappreciated work, I would have to say is Ligeia. That's my favorite story by him, and I feel like it's don't really analyze it fairly, I would have to say. They're just like, oh, it's a parody. It's a parody. And I'm like, dude, it's not a parody. I feel like this is reflective of his feelings regarding his wife's impending illness, covers a lot in regard to the Gothic theme of death of a beautiful woman, which is a recurring theme in Poe's works as well as in the works of Charles Baudelaire and Guy de Maupassant as well. So, and Théophile Gautier as well. So, I would definitely say Ligeia has been such a huge influence on Gothic literature, especially in the French department. I did touch on something that Charles Baudelaire did say about Ligeia in my Baudelaire on Booze videos covering his literary and art criticism, and I recommend you guys check that out because it was awesome. Okay. Asmodeus asks, do you ever get nervous? Yes, I have anxiety, and I especially get panic attacks and anxiety when I'm at work. Go figure. Not cool, man. And Moments of Decadence asks, do you have any pre-performance rituals, and do you think you would have more opportunities as an opera singer were you to ungoth yourself? So, pre-performance rituals, I think it's really important the day before to fucking relax. Fucking relax as much as you can. Get a massage, get a pedicure. I definitely got a massage the day before my most recent recital, and it definitely helped. It loosened me up, I got a good amount of rest the day before, and I was able to just chill, man, and it was great. Now, and do you think you would have more opportunities as an opera singer if you were to ungoth yourself? So at the moment, I don't think that I'm at the level or point just yet where I can audition for roles. But I definitely tone down my appearance whenever I do evaluated performances, but even still, I get whacked for something being distracting, so stupid. And then she says, P.S. Did I say already how much I adore this photo of you? It is everything. The photo that she is referring to is this one. So this is definitely my favorite photo that was taken for my recital photo shoot, and it was representing my finale piece, which was O mio Fernando from La Favorita. So it's basically representing that part where Leonora is dreading her fate if her beloved Fernando should discover her identity as the king's mistress, and she's talking about being the sad bride being draped with the black veil and the tomb preparing itself for her. So I really wanted to capture that moment, and I felt that was perfect, so that's definitely something I wanted to do for a while. So Wolf of Winchester asks, have you ever read Jean-Paul Sartre's study on Baudelaire? Sartre turned abstractions like existence and being, freedom, and nature into a theory of psychoanalysis grounded in man's creativity opposed to Freudian determinism. He then put his theory into practice in his book on Baudelaire. Did it add any new perspective or insight into the poet's life that you never considered before? Sorry for this being so long. That's perfectly fine. That's totally cool. Don't worry about it. So as far as that's concerned, I have not read his book, but upon you mentioning it, I did add it to my cart on Amazon and I plan on reading it. So, sounds fascinating. Okay, so my friend from Necromancy has asked, what's your favorite go-to cocktail? So I would have to say I love Sazerac cocktails because duh, absinthe, hello. And then I also love margaritas and I love martinis. Monique Saviccioni asks, what would be your dream job? Obviously an opera singer. And then she says, what piece of artwork is your favorite? I would have to say I love a lot of French artwork from the 19th century. Gorgeous. One of my favorites is A Woman Bitten by a Snake, which is a sculpture, and it features actually one of Charles Baudelaire's mistresses, Apollonie Sabotier, and she had the most beautiful body I've ever seen, and the sculpture is absolutely incredible. Here it is. So yes, a lot of French artwork from the 19th century I have come to really love. It's really incredible. Really, really, really love it. So X Persephone asks, hello, I've never asked you a question on your Q&A video, so this would be my first. Number one, what got you into the goth subculture? I would have to say my interest was piqued by the films of Tim Burton, and some music that my mom listened to did gravitate more toward goth, and I enjoyed that. It was great. So, long story short, people kept asking me if I was goth. I said, I don't know what that is. I looked it up, and I found out there was an entire subculture based around it, read the literature. So I would say the main focal point of what got me into goth was the literature. So, there's that. And then, what are your 5 favorite gothic literature pieces? I would have to say, in no particular order, I would have to say The Flowers of Evil by Charles Baudelaire. Oh, love it. And The Italian by Anne Radcliffe, Romance of the Forest by Anne Radcliffe. 2 incredibly good thrillers. Fucking love them. And then I also love The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. Amazing. And what else? And then I would have to say The Monk by Matthew Gregory Lewis. Although I did read another piece by Matthew Gregory Lewis recently, within the last couple of months, that I love, that I will be talking to you guys about, because you guys need to read it. So underrated. And then question 3, what is a weird fact about you that you barely mention? Love your videos. Thank you. So, weird fact about me that I barely mention, I would have to say severe allergies. I have severe allergies. I have to take injections for these allergies once a week because they are so bad. I'm allergic to fucking tumbleweeds. Who the fuck is allergic to tumbleweeds? That's so stupid. Yeah, it's awful. And Shavonda Tate asks, besides black, what is your favorite color? I love red, and I love shades of purple and shades of blue as well, so. And green, but it depends on the shade of green. Preferably absinthe green. And what makeup products do you use? I use a lot of stuff by Black Moon Cosmetics and LA Splash and Cara Beauty. They have a smoke palette that I've been using lately that I absolutely love. Unfortunately, I'm not going to do makeup tutorials. I'm really sorry for you guys who keep asking me for makeup tutorials, but I don't want to be yet another goth YouTuber that does makeup tutorials because I feel like there is enough of that on YouTube. Not to disparage those who do, that's fine. It's just that I feel like there's too much of it and I don't want to contribute to the redundancy. I also use eyeshadows by a company called Tater Rounds Beauty. Fantastic. And I also use products by NYX and Wet n Wild. So, I really try to go for products that are cruelty-free. Do extensive research on all that junk. And then, what's your skincare routine? I definitely plan on including that in my video for pamper and relaxation. So, there's that. And Shavonda Tate also asks, what are your spiritual beliefs and why? I would have to say I'm a spiritual agnostic. I would definitely put myself in that category. I was raised Catholic, but I also do believe in kind of the energies of the universe sort of thing, like kind of new age and witchy kind of stuff. But I'm not necessarily a practicing witch, but I do have a witchy friend who helps me with everything if I should need kind of energies thrown my way for something. So, there's that. I also I subscribe to some of the beliefs in LaVeyan Satanism because, let me just remind you guys, LaVeyan Satanism has nothing to do with devil worshipping or anything like that. It's perfectly peaceful. It's basically atheism with a very distinct philosophical take, and it's wonderful. I really recommend you guys look it up because it's really fascinating. So I definitely do subscribe to those philosophies as well. And then, what are your all-time favorite books to read? Again, Flowers of Evil, anything by Edgar Allan Poe. And I love reading Charles Baudelaire's French translations of Poe. It's a really good way to shake things up and to help, kind of help my French comprehension, which is great. And what Gothic-themed movie is your favorite? Crimson Peak, hands down. Holy shit, Crimson Peak is amazing. Oh! Seriously, I love Crimson Peak. It is incredible. And then my friend Jessica Morrow asks, what country could you see yourself living in? England, definitely. France, definitely. I do need to get fluent in French, but it's difficult to be fluent in French when, well, fluent in any language for that matter, when you have ADHD and hyperlexia. Now, hyperlexia is basically the opposite of dyslexia. It means you have a precocious ability to read and high comprehension of what it is you're reading, and you also read really fast. And I've read a lot of studies about ADHD and a lot of studies about hyperlexia, and I found that both of those particular conditions can make it difficult for those with those conditions to learn a new language. Not necessarily because they're having a hard time comprehending what it is they're reading or hearing, it's because they have a difficult time putting together sentences, which is something I've always had trouble with, even when I took Spanish in high school. So that sucks. But anyway, yeah, so either England or France or Italy maybe, that would be fantastic. Equisapien rights activist asks, what are some of your favorite modern goth bands? And they're specifically asking for as in the 2010s. So I would have to say Bella Morte's new stuff is pretty good. I really enjoy it. Some of it in the late 2000s, not 2010s, but late 2000s, kind of just like, no thanks. But the stuff that they've come back with within the last couple of years has really been awesome. I also love Ego Likeness and Lebanon Hanover and the Crook Shadows, because I understand they're still making music, so I believe that counts. And Drab Majesty, love them. Fantastic. Unleashed Horror has a whole bunch of fucking questions for me, but that's great. So, number one, do you plan on making any more videos similar to the Gothic literature video you made, which I loved, where you have a central topic and a list of a bunch of books that you recommend within that topic, or even just videos of books to recommend? I'm always looking for new books to read. So, to answer that question, I would have to say that whenever I post a review of Gothic literature, it is in and of itself a book recommendation. So if I say how much I really love it and how much, hey, you guys should totally read this, that would usually count as a recommendation. I really love exposing you guys to a lot of new pieces of Gothic literature that rock. So, The Castle Spectre by Matthew Gregory Lewis being one of them, and I definitely plan on reviewing that for you guys. Then he also says, I'll be visiting Salem for Halloween this year and surrounding states and cities such as Baltimore, Philadelphia, Sleepy Hollow in New York, Fall River, Connecticut, Danvers, and Providence. Do you have any creepy and interesting places in those areas or nearby that you would recommend visiting? So, Connecticut, I can't really give you very many suggestions on that, but I am familiar with Baltimore, which is the city where Edgar Allan Poe died, and you can also check out his gravesite, and there are several museums for houses that he lived in at the time of his death and at the time that he was there. So that's definitely something to look into. And of course, any museums in Salem that are involved with witchcraft or anything like that. Philadelphia, Edgar Allan Poe spent some time in Philadelphia as well, so I think there might be a Poe museum there. Yeah, don't quote me on that, but I would recommend looking into that before you go. Sleepy Hollow in New York. Yes. So as far as Sleepy Hollow in New York is concerned, there are a couple of places I can recommend. First of all, fucking Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. Duh. I would also recommend visiting Lyndhurst Estate, which is a giant Gothic-style mansion in, I think it's a stone's throw away from Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, and that's where they filmed House of Dark Shadows and Night of Dark Shadows while the show was still in circulation in the 1970s, like early 70s. What on earth? Sure, Roxy, now you're barking. And then, actually, let me think here. If you're going to be going to Rhode Island, if that's at all possible during your trip here, I would recommend going to Seaview Terrace. I don't know exactly where in Rhode Island it is, but I know it's in Rhode Island. And that's where they shot the exterior shots of Dark Shadows, the TV show from the 1960s and early 70s. And then a stone's throw away from that is an older house. I totally forget what it's called, unfortunately. I'm so sorry. I can't remember that off the top of my head. But it's where they shot the exterior shots of the old house. So that's pretty cool. Third question. What are some of your favorite pieces of classical music that have a dark element and style to it? Donizetti's Missa de Requiem or Requiem Mass is very dark and it's intense. His Confutatis Maledictis is fantastic. But those are great. And then I would also recommend La Favorite or La Favorita for an opera that's darkly themed. But that one is just, oh my god, intense. Even just the overture brings me to tears. And of course his darkest opera that he is known for is Lucia de la Memor. I'd recommend that definitely. And then Camille Saint-Saëns, I would recommend his Danse Macabre, which has been wonderful. God, he is such an underappreciated composer, and I'm so glad that I'm working on some pieces from Samson and Delilah, his opera, because it's just intense and beautiful. And then Jules Massenet, who I did sing a piece by him in my last recital, which was Elegie, and that was fantastic. I keep saying fantastic again, I'm sorry. And I'm working on another piece by him called Va les écueils mes larmes from his opera Werther. So he's great. He is so dark. And La Damnation de Faust by Berlois. He's fantastic. Great. So Angela Benedict asks, I have a question. You often talk about the correlation between Gothic literature's influence on music. Which band do you find takes the most influence, in your opinion, from the literature, and what is your favorite inspired songs? So that's definitely a loaded question. I feel like the artist I listen to that really talks, like, is inspired by Gothic literature is Sopor Etonis and the Ensemble of Shadows. Oh my god, I fucking love that band. And obviously their album Les Fleurs du Mal is dedicated in part to Charles Baudelaire, and then their album Poetica All Beauty Sleeps is inspired by Poe, and my favorite song on that particular album was The Sleeper, which is one of my favorite poems by Edgar Allan Poe. Not just The Raven, not just Annabel Lee, okay? Duh! The Sleeper, fantastic. You guys need to look that up because it's really chilling and beautiful. Love it. And then there are several bands I know, but let me just look up a list of a couple of them here. There's one called La Tristeuse de la Lune, which is, wouldn't necessarily say goth, but they're definitely alternative, and their name, La Tristeuse de la Lune, which in French means The Sorrows of the Moon, is inspired by a poem by Charles Baudelaire. Definitely, duh. And let's see, what else here? The Cure has a song called How Beautiful You Are that is inspired by a poem by Charles Baudelaire as well. And Susie Sue, back in the days before goth even became a label for her music, her song Premature Burial, inspired by Poe. You have a lot of artists out there that are inspired by Edgar Allan Poe. Let me just show you guys a compilation album and name off a few. And then there are a lot of artists out there that pay tribute to Dracula, with good reason. You know, Bauhaus paid tribute to Dracula, and a whole bunch of other bands have as well. So Songs of Terror is definitely a compilation album that I recommend. A lot of goth and alternative bands have paid tribute to Poe in this album, such as Jennifer Hope, fantastic, Fear Cult, Cruciform, Cinema Strange, Ex Voto, Trance to the Sun, Faith of the Muse. Faith in the Muse's song Through the Pale Door is inspired by The Haunted Palace. Immortalis Amor, Desmodonte, Wreckage, The Net Configuration, all of those bands have paid tribute to Poe in this album, and it's really great. Then there's the band Dead Can Dance, who I love, that have also paid tribute to Charles Baudelaire in their album Spleen and the Ideal, and naming the first song on that album De Profundis Clavamati, which is one of the poems in The Flowers of Evil, which is so great! From the depths I cry out is what that means in Latin. And there's also Faith in the Disease that named a song Baudelaire, after Charles Baudelaire, of course. Yeah, so there are a lot of bands out there that have paid tribute to Gothic literature, and I definitely plan on going into those in detail. And I have another question here I wanted to address. A specific reason for that, so one more question for you guys, I promise. Unleashed Horror had another question for me, and it was, an addendum to my first question. I believe I remember you saying in one of your videos you had a Goodreads. I tried to find your account to find you, but I couldn't find you. So, huge reason why I do not have a Goodreads account, it is unreliable. And the reason why I say that, if you guys remember probably a year ago, I made a video about the quotes that a whole bunch of people have misattributed to Edgar Allan Poe. And that's kind of annoying, especially to me. It's like, dude, this guy has enough of a bad reputation as it is. He doesn't need a bunch of dumbass quotes attributed to him that he didn't say. So I will give you a perfect example of why I don't have a Goodreads account due to the inaccurate Poe quotes that they have on there. Check this out. Yep, I have multiple editions of Edgar Allan Poe's complete works. Fucking judge me. Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. Yeah. Okay. I can feel you judging me over there. Fuck you. Okay. Okay, here we go. Found it. Ligeia by Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, so there is a quote on Goodreads that they directly attribute to Poe. That is not correct. Here's why. Okay, so here's a quote from the story. You can Google this and look this up for yourself. Check this out. Okay, so there is no exquisite beauty, says Bacon, Lord Verulam. That part's important. Speaking truly of all the forms and genera of beauty, without some strangeness in the proportion. That is really, really, really important. This entire quote, there is no exquisite beauty without some strangeness in the proportion, in its entirety, is attributed to Poe, and that is not correct. Poe directly, within the text itself that you can see for yourself, he says that Sir Francis Bacon is the one who said it, not him. Poe did not say it, Sir Francis Bacon did. So that's one of the giant reasons why I do not have a Goodreads account, because it is like so unreliable I can't even fucking talk, okay? That's why I don't have a Goodreads account. So, I hope I was able to educate you on that, guys. So, there's that. I don't have a Goodreads because it's not reliable. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed my ranting and rambling and carrying on about stupid shit, so I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. I really enjoyed making it. It was really fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed seeing Roxy, what little that you could see of her. So subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later. Bye!